the thing that's made the season hard is not actually like work ethic or even time constraints, because like I work pretty much every day all day, but like sometimes progress is the W. Like maintaining in some seasons is winning. The thing that will stop me from achieving my ultimate goals is
you're not having a bad year. You've had a few bad days that you're thinking about for the rest of the year. I've found it helpful when I'm in a bad season, like I'm in right now, to just focus on having a good day. A good day in a bad season is a bite-sized victory. String a few of those in a row, and a bad season feels less hard. I'm pretty sure the difference between a happy life and an unhappy one doesn't come down to how many good or bad days you have, but which days you think about over and over again. In some seasons of life, maintaining is winning.
Couldn't have put it better myself. This has been my big focus right now is, and I'm not the first person to say this, but just winning the day. And Bill Ackman had this, I heard him on a podcast talking about this hard season where he was getting divorced. He just lost $4 billion in Pershing Square, his investment firm. And he was not him today. He was earlier on his career. So, I mean, it was just the worst. And because he had lost his money, the divorce was for way more money because it was based on his net worth that didn't exist anymore. And it was just a terrible slog. And he said one of the difficult parts about that period is that there was no one thing that was like, oh, I can tackle this today. Like you're not going to finish the divorce today. You're not going to undo the $4 billion loss today. And so it's like when you have these larger, more complex negative things that do scale, it's like how do you navigate through that? And for anyone who's listening right now, it's like maybe it's the bad breakup, or maybe you're getting divorced, right? Or maybe it's like the business isn't working the way you want. It's like, and there's like 10 things that you have to fix, and it's like, well, I can't fix that change in the logo until the next run. So I just have to see this every single day. Yeah. And so he had this very tactical advice, which I liked a lot, which is he just tried to make progress, and that was it. And he said, in a day, it's almost negligible, right? But at 30 days, you're like, okay, I moved this, and at 90, you're like, wow. This is really materially changed in what's happened. Now, does this mean that our mood is still being dictated by circumstance? Yes, I'll be honest. Yes, it does. But I think many of us have this ideal. We'd love to be able to be in a great mood in the absence of things to be in a great mood about. But sometimes progress is the W. Like maintaining in some seasons is winning. And I've had to tell myself that also, that we can have these different, like on business vector, I'm murdering it. I'm crushing there. But like I tore my quad this year, which sucked. I had painful. I have a neck thing that's just been bugging the hell out of me, right? So it's like, and I have two great fears in life. One is that I lose my mind, which is really just more that I'll be a burden to everybody else. I won't know because my mind will be lost, right? And the other is chronic pain. Those are like my two great fears in life, because chronic pain is really tough. Like the first thing you think about when you open your eyes in the morning is pain. And it's like, and now I have to be in a good mood, right? Because I demand this of myself. And so when in navigating those scenarios, just trying to chip away, and also to take the reverse of, I had this one great podcast today. I'm going to make that thing the thing that's making this a great day. And then if I can make that great day, then maybe it could be a great week. And then trying to expand those, basically like let those good moments eat up the season. And I made a conscious decision on May 1st. And I think did I send you the screenshot of my HRV?
Yes.
So it was May 1st. I was like, this. I was like, I told Layla, I was like, I have decreed that the rest of the year will be good. And so I'm putting so much mental effort into this, which is why this is so timely from us talking about it, in actively trying to minimize all the down things and super, super focus on those moments and be like, cool, I had that good moment. That's my day. Day's made. And I'm trying to even say that more. Like, oh, this podcast made my day. This podcast made my week. Now, I used to think, oh, this made my week. When someone would say something small, I'd be like, that's what made your week? Like, you must not have a lot going on.
So true.
Right? Like, I like my own judge machine, right?
That's lame.
Yeah, exactly.
What a stupid thing. Oh my God. How feeble, how small is your life that something so unimpressive is a source of gratitude to you?
Yeah. For a week or a month.
And yet, your life is made up of small days like this. That is what life is. Yeah. And if you're expectation of life is that it's going to be, well, until I play the main stage at EDC, until I make the $1 billion, until I get married to the love of my life, until I get these things, you're just holding your happiness hostage until something great happens. Yeah. And what if, again, it's what we said before, what if something small could be something great?
Yeah. And it exists in the specific. Those the tiny moments, and that so that's been
boring
a
victories,
huge focus.
Dude. Boring victories.
But trying to make it, basically, I've had to recalibrate my entire scale to how little of a thing can happen that makes my day, how little of a thing can happen that makes my week, how little of a thing can make my month, and like how crazy would it be if a year from now I say 2025 was a great year. You know, I woke up pain-free for probably like 70% of my days. That was a great year. But like, I got to have coffee with Layla in the morning once a week, and that filled me up for the whole week. Like, if I can, and I want to, I'm putting, so anyone who's listening to this, like, I'm putting a huge amount of my discretionary effort into this, because it's my belief that right now, what will prevent me from achieving my ultimate goals, because that not gone. The thing that will stop me from achieving my ultimate goals is running out of steam, because, and this may not be real for some people, but like, I don't need to do this. Like, I don't need to work this hard. And so I have to I'd prefer to make the ride more enjoyable.
That's a huge departure, I think.
Prefer. I will still ride at dawn.
That's a huge departure, though. And look, dude, you know, the conversation that we had the other week, and I think the one that we're having now, it might be less Goggins, Jocko-pilled, screaming alpha motivation, and sleep token track over the top of it edit thing. However, one of the things that I've noticed when seeing somebody that goes from a position like the one that you were in, or the light equivalent that I was, to talking in this sort of a way, there's an awful lot more humanity, I think, that people can see in that, because work until your eyes bleed. Nobody cares about your emotions. You do, just go harder. Although it sounds fantastic in theory, it's very impersonal. And it sounds mechanistic, It sounds robotic, it sounds detached. And that's fantastic. And you can do that for a while. You can completely disregard the way that you feel for a while.
Yeah.
But only for a while. And sooner or later, the entropy of positive affect being a motivator, the fact that enjoyment is efficiency, does tend to catch up with you. And it'll catch up with you in sneaky ways. Yeah. Right? The quad tear, who knows, and I'm completely open to this, who knows whether the quad tear would have happened if the book had been finished in twice as long.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Your system sort of contributes to itself in a global sort of stress-based manner.
It's, you know what's weird is that the thing that's made the season hard is not actually like work ethic or even time constraints, because like I work pretty much every day all day, but like that's been baseline, and that doesn't really bother me very much. Like not even bother me very much. I like doing that. The thing is that the nature of what fills that time. And so like if I have all the things that are not work that are related to work that I must do as a result so that I can get back to doing the work I like doing. Like me writing a book is the most is my favorite thing in the entire world. Us doing these podcasts is some of the best moments that I get to have in my life. Like twice a month, I'll have business owners who come out that are bigger, that are like kind of like not portfolio ready, but like they're doing usually like, you know, $5 to $25 million a year, like right in that range. And I spend a whole day with those 10 businesses, and it's like, and I tell them, I'm like, this is the best. Like, I love this. This is my favorite thing in my entire life. But it's everything that's not that. And Bezos talks about the overhead, right? And I think it's when the overhead starts to become a disproportionate amount of your time. And I think that at every level of at least entrepreneurship, I get these periods where the overhead just become bigger and bigger and bigger until I fix it, right? And so like for us, I told you, I'll tell everybody publicly, like I had, I think 8 or 9 lawsuits within like 30 days at the beginning of this year. And so I was like, okay, that sucked. And then I'll tell you the story that happened on top of this, just to give everyone some context. Layla had a health thing. She went to the doctor to get it checked out, and our EA was with her. And I was like, hey, how's it going? What's going on? And she had said earlier, like, she can't get in. I was like, what? What does that even mean? And then the next text I got from the EA was, she has cancer. And so I remember reading that text and being like, okay, all right, this is reality now. Like, this is now the new frame. And I sat with it just long enough to enrich and absorb that concept.
Sick.
Yeah. And so then I was like, all right, so I'm thinking, okay, like chemo, like what do we need to do diet? Like I'm already thinking through this stuff. And I was like, okay, what kind of cancer is it? What state? Like, that's what I'm going with this. So I asked for more details, and she was like, oh my God, no, the reason that it was delayed was because the front desk girl has cancer and she just messed something up, and that was what she was using as her excuse. Layla doesn't have cancer. And I was like, oh, she does have this other stuff, right? But she doesn't have cancer. And the thing is that Layla, after that occurred, when I hung out with her later that night, was, obviously annoyed at whatever issue she was dealing with. But for me, I was like, I saw her and I just gave her this big hug, and I was like, hey, you don't have cancer. And so it's crazy. There's this exact example of gratitude, this terrible thing, and just kidding, it's not a thing anymore. And now I'm really grateful that you have the terrible thing that you have now. At least it's not cancer. And so to bring this back, that all still happened in the same period of time. And Chris mentioned this earlier. I don't know if it was before this pod, but like there was a mishap with printing my next book that's coming out, and the equivalent of 1.5 acres of trees basically became unusable because there were sufficient errors in the book that I couldn't, in good conscience, kind of like the can. It's like, how bad of a mess up does it have to be on the can for me not to sell it? Right. And like, I had to have this internal, I was like, maybe I could make it a thing. Like, hey, our books had some mess ups, and I was like, no one's going to care. No one's going to care. They're just going to remember that they got a up book. And so I had to destroy those. Right. And so I have like 7 more massive ones, but I'm not going to get into it. But the beauty of this entire thing was I got to have this experience of being forced to say, okay, is there a world where I'm going to have to endure more of this? And the answer to that, if I continue to do what I'm doing, is yes. And so I need to build a legal team, which is what I've now built. And so there's these things that, and all of a sudden now, am I better at gratitude, or did I solve the problem? I don't know. I'd be like, really, I want to be real. Like, I don't know. But as of May 1st, things are a little better. And my actual health, for anybody who's a health nut, my HRV average was about 32. And I'd have many, many low 20s days for a 36-year-old active male. Pretty bad. And since May 1st, I'm up like 15 points on my HRV, and I have changed nothing. I eat the same, I work out the same. I'm pretty routine oriented, and the only thing that has changed was the decision that 2025, I'm not tossing out 2025. And I started in the beginning of the year, and I was talking to a good friend of mine, and he was like, dude, bad year. He's like, stop saying that. And I was like, you're right, I should stop saying that. It will be a handful of moments over 5 months that were spread out. And then the back 7, I was like, I can murder it.
And turn this around.
Yeah, exactly. We're turning the ship around, right? And so I've actually been like, it's almost been like an exciting thing for me right now. So I have a little bit of a smile because I'm pumped for it.